So overall, the theme in the Gopi Gita is the gopis are begging Krishna, please come back. And they are calling him from various reasons for him to come back. And while they are saying this, they are also stating the last verse ended with Krishna, whatever reason it is that you have gone away from us, please you come back and you console us with your words. Vidikari river, Veera Muhyati. Revive us, Adarasi Duna, Vyayasuna. So now they are thinking that while Krishna is not there, now what is sustaining them? That is that it is Krishna, it is the words of Krishna that are spoken. So this verse is one of the most well-known verses from the Gopi Gita. And this verse is what Pratap Rudra quoted to win over the heart of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji described. So in the context, what does this verse mean? We look at it beyond the context also, but let's look at it in context as we move forward. But first, let's start with the meaning. Tava katha amrutam. That your katha Krishna, is like nectar. And what is the nature of this nectar? Normally, nectar is in some context. Okay, nectar is for what? Person is dying themselves, they say by nectar. The devatas are always seeking somras to live. So what kind of nectar is this? In fact, the whole verse is a description of the kind of nectar this is. This is tapta jivanam. That our life is burning. Now we look at how verses in scripture can also be understood at multiple levels. But in this specific context, it is the gopis are burning from the fire of separation from Krishna. Tapta Jivana. And when we are separated, it is talking about you that is consoling us, that is keeping us alive, that is nectar. And then Kavibhir Ivitam, that this is transmitted by the Kavi, the wise people, knowing its potency. This is very carefully preserved and passed on by the great sages, the wise people. Kalmashapaham. Apaha is to destroy. Kalmasha is the impurities in the heart. This destroys the kalmashas in the heart. The Bhagavad Gita Krishna says, Kutastva Kashmalam. So Kashmala, Kalmasha are similar words. The darkness, the impurity, they destroy by it. And Shravana Mangalam. So later on the gopis will use the word Mangala again in Dhyana Mangalam. I think that's the next verse only. Dhyana Mangalam. So here it is Shravana Mangalam. So Krishna is Sarva Mangala. Hearing about him is Mangala. Remembering him is also Mangala. But hearing this is Shravana Mangalam. And then Shrimad Adatam. Shrimad. Shri can mean fortune. Shri can mean power. So Shrimad Adatam means it is filled with fortunate or auspicious power. Shrimad Adatam. And Bhuvi Granantije. Those who go around the earth, Bhuvi Granantije, speaking about your pastimes, your katha, Bhuvida Janaha. They're very great. Bhuvi is good. Bhuvida is those who are doers of good. They are the well-wishers, they are the benefactors, those people. So this verse at one level seems to be a glorification of the saintly people who are speaking about Krishna. And of course it is. Now, in the context, what are the gopis doing? Actually, it is that sometimes we glorify Krishna, that pleases Krishna. But if we glorify Krishna's devotees, that pleases Krishna even more. So, in one sense, it is this one, each verse is composed by one gopi. So, this gopi is on one level glorifying the saintly devotees of Krishna and hoping that that glorification will please Krishna and inspire Krishna to come back. But other level, the gopis, this gopi is glorifying the other gopis. That when they are separate from Krishna, they are also talking about Krishna. And while Bhuri can refer to the earth, Bhuri Grananiti Jay, Bhuri Rajana. So Bhuri Grananiti, those who go around the earth speaking about Krishna. So this can also refer to the Bhuri, can refer to Vrindavan. So the gopis are running around Vrindavan, they're searching for Krishna. But while they're searching, they're also talking about Krishna. And they're talking, so the gopis glorifying other gopis and saying that these are great souls. It is they who are sustaining our life. And that way the gopis are conveying to Krishna that there is no competition or jealousy among them. They appreciate and glorify each other. So we'll discuss more about this. Let us recite this verse. So, that's when you want to understand verses. Say, understand a verse. There are many different ways we can look at a verse. One is in context, and another is beyond the context. That means verses also have universal meanings. And then there is a particular way of understanding the verse, which often leads to misunderstanding. That is against the context. So now, beyond, sometimes some people say that, oh, politicians often make some irresponsible statement. They say they quoted me out of the context. And out of the context means you take one statement and that seems to make that person think in a particular way. But if you read the full passage, that person was saying something completely different. So in scripture, when we are trying to understand what scripture says, so there is a quoting which can be out of the context. So now, often scripture has multiple levels of meaning. So when we look at any verse, So we can look at the verse in the context. Okay, this verse came before this verse came after this verse. And then what does this mean? So that's the normal way to understand a verse. And that's how we normally understand conversations also. That generally, if a sentence is to be understood, we read what was the person saying before this, what was the person saying after that. Otherwise, sometimes like some speakers are not very systematic in their presentation. Then what happens is they may speak many points, but if you don't get the flow, okay, why are you telling this point? Sometimes the speakers are very humorous. They tell jokes, but sometimes the jokes are so memorable that the point for which the joke was said is forgotten. At the end, what do you remember? Oh, the jokes were very nice. Now, humor is excellent to have. If somebody has a gift of humor, then that's a gift. It needs to be used. It's a big asset. But the humor should not overshadow the point. So it's like, in one sense, when there is understanding, there is a point, and then there is the point of the point. That means, why are you making this point? So, point of the point is basically look at things in context. Okay, you are giving this example. What is this example for? Now, sometimes some points may actually, like in negative sense, if you say just look at the point in isolation. If you look at the point in isolation. Now, in a negative sense, it could be just, it can become a little frivolous. Suppose somebody remembers some humor. But in a positive sense, somebody might speak like a very quotable point. Sometimes a statement is like a quotable quote. And we have Prabhupada or spiritual masters, senior devotees, we have their quotes, the social media or something like that. Suppose somebody in a class gives a nice quote explaining what is humility. Now we may forget in what context they're talking about humility. But still that quote has value. So it could be memorable in terms of a example, it's a quote. So now sometimes it is also helpful to look at a quote in context. But when something becomes a quotable quote, that means it has value independent of the context. Even if you don't know the context, still the wisdom is so good in it that we want to hear it, we want to know about it. So when we study verses, we can look at the verses in context. And then some verses can be seen beyond the context. So for example, now in 2.60 to 63, the Gita, then you know what is this verse? What is the second line? Now, Sangas Teshu Pajayate. Now, in this context, what does Sangha mean?
Bad association.
Attachment,
yeah.
Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsa. So when we contemplate something, Sangas Teshu Pajayate. It's like, I look at something, hey, that's nice. And then Sangat Sanjayate Kama. Kama means, it's not just that I like it, that's nice. I want it. So that's nice is more like an emotion. That's a precision. That's nice. But it's I want it. And then the kama krodho vijayate, when it goes down, it is like, who can stop me from getting it? So that's when kama starts. The desire itself is not always a bad thing. Desire is normal. But a desire that rages against boundaries, desire that resents and rejects boundaries, that is where desire starts becoming destructive. So kama. So now we know the sequence very well. In the Updeshamrit, Prabhupada quotes this verse. The same verse he quotes, and he uses Sangha to refer to association. And he says, Sangat Sanjayate Kama. So the next verse is Sangat Sanjayate Kama. And Prabhupada says over here that from association, desire develops. And Prabhupada uses this in a positive sense also. that when we associate with devotees, our desire for devotion increases. So now is this the meaning in context? An associated desires develop? Not exactly. It is not in context, but this is wisdom beyond the context. So Krishna is saying one thing, but sometimes one statement can have multiple meanings also. So the point is that when there is wisdom in scripture, so there are some verses which can be quoted as standalone verses. Even if you don't know the context, like Patram Pushpam Phalam, it talks about how Krishna is so eager for devotion. There is a simple heart, with simple offerings can satisfy Krishna. Now, in the context, what is that verse meaning? We can look at it in the context. But some verses have wisdom beyond the context. So this verse is one such verse. Its wisdom goes far beyond the context. That it is a glorification of Krishna Katha. And the whole Bhagavatam in one sense is filled with such glorification. Because in the Bhagavatam, if you consider, Krishna primarily manifests. Krishna manifests primarily as Krishna Katha. That is the primary manifestation of Krishna. If you see, for Parikshit Maharaj, Krishna came initially when he was in his mother's womb and saved him when he was about to die. So that Krishna who saved him when he was not yet born, why did that Krishna not save him from Shringi's curse? Now, in one sense, you can see Parikshit Maharaj's life. And at his death. In cases, you see Brahmanas were involved. Isn't it? Who was Brahmana at birth? Ashwatthama. And that Ashwatthama, he sent a weapon. And that weapon was meant to kill him. It was basically an attack by a Brahmana. And who was the Brahmana at the end of the life? Shringi. And that Brahmana also sent an attack. That attack was in the form of a curse, Takshaka. So now, relatively speaking, you could say that the Brahmastra is actually much stronger than a Takshaka. Takshaka is in the cosmic hierarchy. Brahmastra is the highest among all weapons. Now, sometimes Brahmastra is considered to be the Astra of Brahma, but it is not the Astra of Brahma. It is the Astra associated with Brahman. That is the greatest weapon. Brahmaji rarely fights. Among the Devatas, Brahmaji is most Brahmanical. Most of the Devatas are like Kshatriyas. They keep fighting. Now, so Brahmaji, very few occasions, sometimes he will fight, but most often he doesn't fight. So Brahmastra is not just an astra, the right astra, from a nomenclature is also associated with Brahman. And that means Brahma means not the Brahma Jyoti, Brahma means the greatest reality. Brahma, that's one of the etymological meanings of Brahma, that which extends over everywhere, that is the greatest. So the point is the Brahmastra is the most powerful astra. And as compared to that, Takshak is not that powerful. It's just one being. So here, this was more powerful. And relatively speaking, this was less powerful. And we could say that Krishna protected Parikshit from something which was more powerful, and yet that Parikshit was killed by something less powerful. So why did Krishna not come to protect Parikshit? Well, Krishna did come. Krishna came in the form of Krishna Katha. That Krishna came in the form of Krishna Katha and he protected Parikshit Maharaj in the sense that by hearing Krishna Katha, Parikshit Maharaj was completely absorbed in the remembrance of Krishna. And that's why when Takshak came and bit him, actually Parikshit Maharaj's consciousness was already with Krishna. The soul was already on the journey to Krishna. And just what Takshak bit was just like an empty shell of a body. So he was protected, no doubt. But the overall theme was that, so here there is protection by Krishna. Here there is protection by Krishna Katha. So his consciousness was absorbed in Krishna and he attained Krishna. Another protection was lacking. So the Bhagavatam's overall emphasis is the glorification of Krishna Katha. That it is not that in this Kali Yuga, the dark influence of Kali is going to be there. We can't stop Kali from progressing, but we can protect ourselves and we can protect as many people as possible. So Puranarka Adhunoditaha. So the glorification of Krishna Katha is consistent in the Bhagavatam. Wherever there are verses glorifying Krishna Katha, in every canto, in almost every samvad, every conversation, repeatedly. This no other theme in the Bhagavatam has as much mention and glorification as Krishna Katha. Or Bhagavad Katha, the word Krishna Katha is not used. So that is there, and it is quite apt that that theme which is there throughout the Bhagavatam comes in the summit of the Bhagavatam also. That this Gopi Gita is considered to be the highest level of the Bhagavatam. In the whole Bhagavatam, if you see, if the Mahabharata is here in our timeline, the Bhagavatam begins more or less where the Mahabharata ends. This is basically the first entry of Krishna in the Bhagavatam is after the Mahabharata war is over. And there Krishna and Arjuna chasing Ashwatthama. And then, so the idea is that Bhagavatam begins in the shadow of the Mahabharata war. And overall, it is the mood of Krishna has just departed from the world. And everybody is learning or trying to learn how to live in the world after Krishna's departure. So the whole mood of the Bhagavatam is how to experience Krishna is separation from Krishna. That is one of the key moods of the Bhagavatam. So experience Krishna in the absence of Krishna or in separation from Krishna. You want to share to say, Prabhu?
No, I'm good.
Sure.
I'm good.
So, in separation from Krishna, and that same mood is there here for the gopis. And the gopis are literally separated from Krishna. Here that is going to happen. But after the 40th chapter and the 10th canto, when Krishna departs, the gopis are again going to be separated, almost lifelong from Krishna. So, the gopis, they are finding solace. So, at one level, in the broader system of the Bhagavatam, broader structure of the Bhagavatam, it's apt that this glorification of Krishna Katha comes in its summit also. So this is a key theme of the Bhagavatam, and it's something very important for us, because for us, we experience Krishna primarily through Krishna Katha. So yes, we do a lot of service, and it's important, no doubt. We may do festivals, we may organize Rath Yatra, we may build temples, we may distribute books, and all these are important, no doubt. And at the same time, without a culture of hearing, all these will, over a period of time, start becoming or seeming mundane to us. So it is the remembrance of Krishna comes primarily by Shravan and Kirtan. And even among Shravan and Kirtan, so we do japa regularly. And it's vital that we do japa. But when we are doing a japa, we are doing a chanting of the holy names, we won't be able to remember Krishna while chanting if we are not hearing about Krishna. So, unless of course we are already so advanced that Krishna is already filling our consciousness, then the chanting will evoke the remembrance. But till then, it's important to hear about Krishna. Because we all may experience in general that if we hear a good class and after that we try to chant, we find that the chanting will be much better. But if you're not hearing regularly, then chanting, it just becomes mechanical because the chanting is not really connecting us with Krishna. If you already have great love for Krishna, then just the name of Krishna will remind us of him and chanting will be very relishable. But if we don't have that, if our consciousness is still caught in the world quite a bit, then we need to uplift our consciousness. So hearing is a primary way to experience Krishna. And having a culture of hearing is important. And of course, one of the best ways to hear is to also learn to speak. Because when we speak, the Shravan will lead to Kirtan. It should lead to Kirtan. But Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, all three are happening at the most powerful. So here, that's the application of this for us. That we all can experience Krishna in his absence through hearing, through especially hearing. So now for the gopis in context. Before we go to gopis, let's look at some of the points in this verse, what has been talked about. Tava kathamritam tapta jivanam. So tapta jivanam. Again, you can look at in context and beyond context. For the gopis, it is separation from Krishna. That is why their jivan is tapta. For us, it is separation from Krishna. Well, certainly we are all burning in some fire, but it is samsara davana. It is not viraha davana. Isn't it? It is the separation, is the fire of material existence. The fire of material existence basically has two parts to it. Those are like a fire. So these are when we say Trivida Tapa, that is there, the stresses are there. But beyond those Trivida Tapa, it is desires that are burning us from within. There is Kama, there is Loka, there is Krodha. So this is, for us it is a Samsara Davana. Now, to the extent we experience this, for the gopis it is Viraha Davana. Viraha is so now when they are experiencing this, at this point, whatever we are experiencing this, say when we are in distress, we are agitated, but somebody come and hear Krishna, we experience some relief, some calmness, some being lifted out of our circumstances to a higher level of reality. So that is the Amrit that is being showered. So Tapta Jivana and Kavibiri Vidam. Srila Prabhupada's great legacy is not just that he wrote the Bhagavatam. Yes, that was a monumental effort. But Prabhupada's great legacy is that Prabhupada created a legacy of the recitation of Bhagavatam. Prabhupada, in the first canto, when Prabhupada was translating, we have his first canto, second chapter, Nityam Bhagavad Sevya. Now, Prabhupada translates that by daily attendance at Bhagavatam class. Now, at that time, there was no ISKCON, there was no Bhagavatam class happening also. Now, I checked with some of the devotees who are well known in Gaudiya history. I asked whether in Gaudiya Math they had a tradition for daily Bhagavatam class. Not much really. Sometimes they would have, especially if there was a visiting sannyasi or something like that. But if you see when did Prabhupada write the first canto in 1962, in fact, Prabhupada wrote the first canto in 3 volumes, 3 parts. He got each of them published. When that was published, then he said, now I'm ready to travel. So, Prabhupada, the first canto, second chapter, Prabhupada must have written 1962 probably. That, or maybe he wrote it before that, 1962 got published. So, Prabhupada was basically like unknown sannyasi at that time. And even then he had this vision of having this daily class, daily hearing. So Prabhupada created this Kavibhiriditam. Kavibhiriditam means that this is passed down, this is transmitted by sages. So for all of us, the living legacy is extremely important. When you talk, Prabhupada talks about the book Bhagavad and the person Bhagavad. Sometimes think of the person Bhagavad as a pure devotee. Yes, there are pure devotees. But you could put it in another way as there is the written tradition and then there is the oral tradition. And throughout history, spiritual wisdom has primarily been conveyed through the oral tradition. Before 300, 400 years, before the printing press came about, books were also not very easily available. And it was primarily the oral tradition that conveyed knowledge. Books in the past were extremely rare. Books were written by scholars for scholars. Ordinary people would have a very difficulty in getting a book and reading it. So it is the oral tradition that continued the, the tradition of bhakti, the wisdom of spirituality in general. And so Kavi Bhiri, so it is which Prabhupada came for the first time to went to America in 1965, started his school in 1966. And then around 1967, Prabhupada traveled for the first time from New York to San Francisco. He went. It was the first time Prabhupada took a flight. Before that, he'd gone by ship. So when he went there, he told the devotees in New York, he said, Prabhupada, we have these weekly classes. Prabhupada would 3 classes a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday evenings. And Sunday would be the Sunday office program. So they said, Prabhupada, what should we do at that when you are not here? He said that Prabhupada gave out some of your recordings, can you play that? Prabhupada said, no. Prabhupada said, you have to speak. And these were just devotees who were 1 year old, 2 year old. They were very new in bhakti, they knew practically nothing. But Prabhupada told them, you speak. From that time itself, Prabhupada created that tradition of having the devotees speak. So sometimes we may feel that, okay, I can hear from my spiritual master, I can hear from Prabhupada, and their purity is much more than the purity of the speakers who are speaking. That's true, of course. But the point is that there is purity, which is important, but there is also relatability. Relatability means when somebody from among us, from our own community, somebody who is, say, from our generation, who speaks our language, who has our life experiences, they speak, then spiritual wisdom becomes relatable. Yes, we distribute Bhagavad Gita, it's important to distribute Bhagavad Gita. But unless we follow the distribution of the Bhagavad Gita with some kind of opportunity for people to study the Bhagavad Gita in association, it's very rare cases that people by reading the Bhagavad Gita itself can start practice. There are no doubt, but they are rare. So there are of course quotes of Prabhupada on the other side where Prabhupada said, what is your 2 minutes preaching going to do? It's better that you distribute a book. That's true. But there Prabhupada is comparing it with a 2 minute preaching. Prabhupada is not comparing it with a regular tradition of daily classes or regular classes of whatever kind. So this is the oral tradition. Each one of us has an opportunity to be a part of the tradition, not only a part of the tradition in terms of hearing, but we can be a part in terms of speaking also. So we may have a small group, we may have a big group, we may have extraordinary speaking ability, we may have not so somewhat mediocre speaking ability. But each of us can try to be a part of this oral tradition. Kavi Bhiri, what we transmit it. Under 1 people, 10 people, 100 people. So it's wonderful that here, it's not just the teacher, but there's so many other devotees also who are taking up responsibility and preaching. This is Kavi. So the tradition keeps living and moving forward. Kavi Kalmashapaham. When this message is transmitted, see, at one level, the potency of the message depends on the messenger. But at another level, it doesn't. There are both examples, both sides kind of examples are there. Sometimes the message has impact because the speaker is so pure. So, but sometimes it's like the message potency is independent of the speaker. That means that someone hears that message and that person is so transformed. And sometimes we bring someone to Krishna, and after some time we feel like this person left me behind now. It could be that that person has started bhakti in a previous life also. But the point is, the we don't have to worry too much about whether I'm pure or not. Mm. In one of the sessions earlier, I was talking about there is ability and there is availability. So for Krishna, our availability is much more important than our ability. So if we're just available to hear Krishna's message, share Krishna's message, then we are a part of the whole tradition in terms of receiving and also in terms of transmitting. So, kalmashapa, people will find that their impurities will be removed. Not only there, we'll find that just by speaking about Krishna, our own impurities will also start getting removed. And then,
Sorry, in context to this, is hearing more powerful or reading more powerful?
is hearing more powerful or reading more powerful? Well, I won't say that the two can be compared. My understanding, at least my experience, and I've talked with many devotees, in the early stages, maybe the first 5, 10 years or so, hearing is much more powerful. See, because what happens is one basic principle in education. Hmm, what we can know is actually proportional to what we know. What it means is, let's say, if somebody looks at my fingers and they say, okay, this is a little pale color. Some a doctor will look at it and say, do you have anemia? So they're saying the same thing. What we can know depends on what we know. Mm. So, in general, when we read books initially, unless a person is very thoughtful, it's difficult to actually get real substance from reading. So, initial years, we hear more and more. And we hear and we learn. And then, once we have a good bank of knowledge inside us, then when we read, the reading stimulates thoughts for us. And stimulates thoughts, then we get more and more connection, more and more absorption. So in general, I would say that hearing is much more important than reading. In general. And this is not to devalue reading, but say we will say that if somebody says I'm daily reading Bhagavatam but I never come to satsang. Well, it's good that you're reading Bhagavatam, no doubt. But it's important that you come to satsang also. A person will become much more spiritually alive unless this person is very philosophical or very intellectual, very analytical, where they can just through reading itself get nourishment. That's good if they get it. Now the best situation is if you can marry hearing and reading. What that means is that we say if we are studying the Bhagavad Gita systematically, then find out some speaker who has spoken the Bhagavad Gita systematically. Then read a verse and then hear a class of that verse. And then in general, it's see what happens is our daily Bhagavatam classes or even our Bhagavad Gita classes that we have sometimes. Certain evening class and templars that okay, I'll speak on 9131 or I'll speak on this verse. Quite often those classes or our daily Bhagavatam classes, take as an example, it becomes more a class on Krishna consciousness with that verse as a starting point. It is not a class on that verse. Hmm? Say, for example, if I had to give one class, full class on Jayati Janmanavraja, now then we would not be studying the Gopi Gita so much. So because we're taking 2, 3 verses, we focus on Gopi Gita. Our general temple Bhagavatam classes, the verse becomes the starting point, but from there, different speakers will go in different directions. And it's good as a class for a reminder of Krishna consciousness. But that class doesn't really help us go deep into the Bhagavatam. I hope the difference is clear.
Yes, yes.
So, but then if somebody again say Bhakti Shastri or Bhakti Vaibhav, if somebody is going verse by verse by verse, then we can go deeper into the Bhagavatam itself. So if we can marry hearing and reading, then that's the most potent. Because not only we understand more, so if I read a verse and then I hear a class by some senior devotee, somebody say I read a verse from the Bhagavad Gita, and then some people are expert in the Gita. Then I hear not just okay, I can hear different devotees class on the verse, but if somebody is given systematically spoken in the Bhagavad Gita, then I hear that class. Then not only what happens is that I get a deeper understanding of that verse based on that devotee's class, but it also we get we get get inputs about how to think about that verse. Hey, I never thought this could be seen from this perspective. I never thought this could be linked with this. I never thought this has this point. So in general, we often talk about absorption. We want to be absorption. Now, absorption is primarily a function of connection.
Hmm.
That means that when we are hearing the point, if we can connect that point with another point that we have heard before, or something which we remember, the more we can connect one point with other points, the more we become absorbed. If we hear something and we just can't connect with anything, then we start thinking, what is going on over here? So connection, the more we can establish connections, the more we'll be immersed, the more we'll be absorbed. So I'd say all three, both hearing and reading are important. But relatively speaking, if a person has a choice to do only one, then hearing is more important. Ideal is if you can do hearing and reading together in a systematic way. So now we were on the Shravana Mangalam Srimadatma. So in general, spiritual growth has two aspects to it. One is Anartha Nivritti. Then you know what is the other? It's called as Artha Pravritti. Anartha Nivritti means that which is inauspicious, that gets removed from the art. But that which is auspicious, we start getting attracted, we start getting propelled towards that. So, Kalma Shapaham is about Anartha Nivritti. Kalma Shapaham, that is, that the Kalmashas are removed from our, that is the Anartha Nivritti is happening. But by hearing, what also happens is Artha Pravritti. That is Shravana Mangalam. The Mangala that comes is that not only the impure is removed, but we are attracted towards the pure. Shravana Mangalam, Srimadad, that is filled with auspicious power. The power not just to free our heart from impurities, but the power to fill our heart with Krishna, to fill our heart with attraction for Krishna. This is the power of Krishna Katha. And if you see Prabhupada, when he went to America and he composed song Margiri Bhagavad Dharma, by the coast of America. And there in that song itself, he quotes the verse Srimatan Sokatha Krishna. So Prabhupada's strategy when he went to America, he said, these people, they know nothing. They are just the Mogunera Sabai Acha. They're all covered by more passion ignorance. How are they going to understand Krishna Katha? So how are they going to understand Krishna's message? So Prabhupada's strategy was just speak Krishna Katha. So Bhagavatir Katha se tab avatar, Dira Haya Shunne Jati Kane Bare Bar. So Prabhupada says over there that Bhagavad Katha is you, Krishna, it's your avatar. And if anybody hears it repeatedly, Dhira Haya, that person will become sober, that person will become attracted. So what the gopis are describing in this verse, Prabhupada had faith in the power of that. And it was with that faith that Prabhupada went to America. Prabhupada had faith in Krishna, yes, but in what? In Krishna manifesting a sound vibration. Sound vibration in the form of his holy name, sound vibration in the form of his katha. And that Srimadatatam. So Prabhupada is a prime example of Vigrananti Je Bhuridachana. Person who traveled across the world doing great good to the entire world. So the, this is the universal implication of this verse. And the gopis, while they're in Vrindavan, Krishna is in Vrindavan, even in Vrindavan, sages keep coming. And they speak about Vishnu, they speak about Krishna. And the gopis sometimes hear about it. The gopis themselves, as we discussed, they are eternally realized souls. They know that Krishna is glorious, being spoken about constantly. So there's Krishna. your absence, it is your katha that is giving us some solace. It is giving us some solace. So, and those who are speaking about Krishna, they are great souls. So in one sense, this verse doesn't contain a fervent appeal to Krishna. Krishna, come back. But the idea is Krishna. They are saying that Krishna, you we love your devotees, you glorify your devotees. Those same things we speak about. So they are hoping that by glorifying Krishna, Krishna will be pleased and Krishna will come back. Krishna, we value your devotee. Like we just said that, love me, love my dog. That's what the idea is there. That it's a so Prabhupada will say, if you please Krishna's pure devotee, then Krishna will be pleased with us. So what happens is similarly, the gopis are saying to Krishna, we value, we glorify your devotees. Please be pleased with us and return. That's the word.
जगत्कथामृतं तप्तजीवनम्
तव कथामृतं प्राप्तजीवनम्
कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहम्
कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहम्
श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततम्
श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततम्
भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जना
भुवि गृह्णन्ते भूरिदा जनाः
भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जना
भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः
Now the gopis they are saying that Krishna, your remembrance is like nectar. But for them, sorry, your katha is like nectar. But what is happening is that they are hearing about Krishna, they are also longing for Krishna. Their longing for Krishna is increasing. So here, now for them, Krishna is a very real loving person. They are talking about Krishna's personal attributes. They are in the forest, Krishna was with them, Krishna was talking with them, Krishna was dancing with them, and then Krishna suddenly disappeared. So let's see. Your gentle, sweet smile, Hasitam, Prema Vikshanam, that your loving glance at us. Ikshanam is glance, Vikshanam is more like a side glance. It's like, you're talking with one person, but you're looking at someone else also. So, we'll talk about when Krishna does Vikshanam. Prema Vikshanam. So, we are loving side glances. Yeah, I'm talking with you, I'm aware of yours. Yeah, I know you're there. So, Prem Viharanam Chate. That Viharanam Chate means that Viharanam is the pastimes. That Krishna performs the for the gopis. Krishna has various pastimes with this. And so Viharanam, that intimate dealing that we had, Dhyana Mangalam. So they are continuing the previous theme that Krishna, when we remember your pastimes, that is auspicious. But I think it's not auspicious for us. This is Rahasi Samvido. Rahasi is in a secret, in a private place. Samvido, the conversations that we had. So when Krishna speaks very endearingly to his devotees. And the book they're remembering the private talks that they had. Yeah, these Krishna, they touched our heart, they conquered our hearts. So, Kuhako no manaha. Kuhako refers to a cheater, oh cheater. How could you? You spoke such words of love, and how did you abandon the beggar? Kuhako no manaha shobhayanti. But when you think about how you spoke such loving words, and now you're off the lips. Now you're abandoned. Show we start getting agitated. So what they are essentially saying is, it's like almost they are the gopis. in the Bhagavatam, around place there's the words Paratpara. That is, Krishna is transcendental to transcendence. That means transcendental to the material world is Brahmajyoti. And Krishna is beyond the Brahmajyoti. So Krishna is Paratpara. So transcendental to transcendence. So what the gopis are saying, oh Krishna, that actually your katha, speaking about you, remembering you, it is actually very pacifying. But for us, it is not pacifying. For us, it is agitating. For us, so the gopis are at such exalted level of devotion that the same Krishna katha, which pacifies everyone, that agitates them. So therefore, they are saying, Krishna, we can't be satisfied with Krishna katha only. You have to come back. You have to come back. So it's in a difference in the we explain Namodarashtakam. There's inner remembrance, but the Satyapuri wants outer darshan also. So it's a similar thing, but here there it's a more of a longing. Oh Krishna, this is wonderful, but I also want that. But here the gopis are saying, actually, yeah, this is wonderful. But it's not just we want more. Just this is just not enough for us. This just doesn't work for us. That for them, because they have such a personal relationship with Krishna, they're feeling agitated that Krishna is not present. So the same katha which pacifies everyone, they're saying, yes, it is also pacifying us. But for us, it is true. The Krishna katha pacifies in the sense that it extinguishes material desires within us. Thus we feel pacified. But for the gopis, they have no material desires. For them, Krishna katha is simply triggering their spiritual desire. And when that spiritual desire become very strong, they're feeling, oh, Krishna is not there. What is the point of it? So they'll show Bhayanti. Your remembrance is actually agitating us, Krishna. Yes, yes.
रहसितं प्रिया प्रेमवीक्षणम्
रहसितं प्रिया प्रेमवीक्षणम्
विहरणं च ते ध्यानमङ्गलम्
विहरणं च ते ध्यानमङ्गलम्
रहसितं प्रिया प्रेमवीक्षणम्
रहसितं प्रिया प्रेमवीक्षणम्
विहरणं च ते ध्यानमङ्गलम्
विहरणं च ते ध्यानमङ्गलम्
रहसि संविदो या हृदि स्पृशा
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 कुहकनो मना शोभयन्तिः
कुहकनो मना शोभयन्तिः
कुहकनो मना शोभयन्तिः
कुहकनो मना शोभयन्तिः
रहसितं प्रिया प्रेमवीक्षणम्
रहसितं प्रिया प्रेमवीक्षणम्
विहरणं च ते ध्यानमङ्गलम्
विहरणं च ते ध्यानमङ्गलम्
रहसि संविदो या हृदि स्पृशा
रहसि संविदो या हृदि स्पृशा
कुहकनो मना शोभयन्तिः
कुहकनो मना शोभयन्तिः
So now, Krishna and the gopis, they are living in Vrindavan. But at one level, everyone in Vrindavan is centered on Krishna and pleasing Krishna. And everyone wants say Krishna to be united with Radharani with the gopis. But at the same time, there are cultural constraints. And no, it's not that Krishna and Radharani or Krishna and Gopis can meet casually anytime, any place. No, it's still, you could say it's a traditional place. So when do Krishna and the Gopis get to interact? So it is the Raskila happens and Krishna calls the Gopis, that time they come. But otherwise, before this happens, apart from this, it is every morning when Krishna goes out to herd the cows. And every evening when Krishna comes back. That is the time. It's Krishna is like the celebrity, the VVIP. So when somebody's coming, everybody comes to see that. So like that, what happens? All of Vrindavan comes out to see Krishna. When is Krishna coming back? And the young gopis, they can't come out of their home and they are watching from the later verses about how we hold a beautiful. But when Krishna is going out, all the gopis rush up to the terraces of their house, and from there they are watching. And while Krishna is herding the cows, what Krishna does is the cows move randomly here and there. Now Krishna is going out, and it is, as I said, because there are cultural constraints. Krishna can't just stop and glance at the gopis. That would be inappropriate. So what happens is that when a cow, while they're running, the cow is going out, cow runs here. So the cow runs in a particular direction, Krishna catches the cow, and while he's turning in that direction, he glances at one goat. He glances at another goat. He glances at another goat. And like that, he blesses the various gopis with his glances. And that way, the gopis are glancing at Krishna, Krishna is glancing at the gopis, and there is that reciprocation of love. And sometimes Krishna did not even glance completely. So at that time, there is the kataksha, side glance, vikshanam. That is the time when Krishna glances at the gopis. The gopis remember that glance. The gopis are waiting for that one glance of Krishna. And then, every evening when Krishna comes back with, so now Krishna and Balaram are at the back. And all the gopis are there, they're watching. Now, because Balaram is Dauji, Balaram is the bigger brother. So Krishna feels a little shy to do anything in front of Balaram. So what happens is, and Krishna and Balaram are coming back, and they are Balaram go there. As they come back home, it's a long day. They had their lunch, but they want to come back and have dinner. So suddenly Krishna starts walking very slowly, and Balaram says, "Come on, we have to go back. There's food waiting for us." Krishna says, I'm really tired, I can't walk fast, you go ahead. And really, let's come, let's start this, you go ahead. And then, okay, Balaram goes. And then Krishna feels liberated. And then Krishna glances at the gopis. All the gopis that are there on the other sides. So Krishna, through loving glances, reciprocates love in the gopis. The gopis, all the love that is in their heart, through their eyes, they are offering it to Krishna. And Krishna, through his glance, is receiving that love and is offering his love back to the gopis. So that is the time when Krishna's face, the picture of Krishna is imprinted in the hearts of the gopis. So the first time is talking about it. Prahasitam Priya Prema Vekshana. So the gopis, they get this daily darshan of Krishna in the morning and the evening. And they also sometimes get a glance of Krishna. A side glance, a direct glance, a long glance, short glance, they get that. And that's what is like a treasure for them. It's the memory that they cherish. Now, apart from that, there are times when Krishna and the gopis meet. So Krishna is going out in the forest in the daytime, sometimes Krishna and the gopis meet. Krishna goes out to herd the cows, and the gopis go to sell butter and milk and curd. So Dadya Dikam Vikre Kama Kila Gopa Kanya, and the Lama Thakur's Govind Lamati says that. And the gopis go out to sell butter and milk. So what happens at that time is they are so absorbed in remembrance of Krishna. So like in India, Whenever some vendor comes, do you want apples? Do you want ice cream? Do you want this? You call out with the products. But the gopis, they are so caught in Krishna that they have curd and butter and milk, but they call out Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. They don't call out the product, but they're going outside, so then people know, okay, this is what they got. That's what they're absorbed in Krishna. So, the gopis, if you consider, to use a modern terminology, the gopis are working women. The gopis are not just housewives. They go out. And we have in Vrindavan also the fruit vendor. She's also going out and selling. So she's earning a living. So this idea that women should not be working, it's more a medieval idea than a traditional Vedic idea. In the medieval times when Islamic rule was there, at that time there was a lot of predation on women. And that's why the emphasis came that women should stay at home. But in the past, the way society was structured was that the varna did not come in the way of the ashram. It's a whole big subject. That the ashram is the duty of our duty toward the family, and varna is our particular occupation. So in today's world, varna often pulls us away from the ashram, and that's where it becomes a challenge. But if varna and ashram, that means our job doesn't allow us to do our family responsibilities, then it becomes a problem. But in the traditional society, varna and ashram both went together. But anyway, so that is the time. Externally speaking, the gopis are going out to sell butter and milk. But internally, they are looking forward when are we going to meet Krishna. So sometimes they meet Krishna, and there are various places in Vrindavan they meet, and Krishna tries to steal butter from them. Krishna tries to take tax from them. So all these are viharanam chate. And these are the pastimes the gopis have had. That Krishna is Leela, and then Dhyana Mangalam. Dhyana Mangalam. It's very auspicious remembering this, they say. And we are remembering this. And especially, there are times when there is intimate conversations. Especially closely. If we look at Prabhupada disciples, they remember Prabhupada, they love Prabhupada. They had a little interaction with Prabhupada. Prabhupada is entered into their heart. So that is, if they had a personal interaction with Prabhupada, they had an intimate interaction. So what happens is that conquers their heart. So like that, the last line is like, Rahasi Samvido. Sometimes Krishna is alone with the gopi. At that time, he speaks words of affection, he speaks words of endearment. And those words, they say, Rudis Susha, those are conquering our heart. But as all this is happening, there is simultaneous solace by the remembrance of Krishna, but there is also, it's like, this word in English, solace? Solace is like comfort, relief. So for the gopis, the solace is soulless. It is just not enough for them. So they just want more. So in Chaitanya Charan, what is described that especially for the gopis, remembrance of Krishna, or even love for Krishna, Krishna Prem is like hot sugarcane juice. This example? It's sugarcane juice, so it's tasty. You keep drinking it. But it's so hot that you can't drink it. So another metaphor that is given is it's like bitter nectar. Now we may say, how can nectar be bitter? Nectar is sweet, generally speaking. So actually, remembrance of Krishna is like nectar. And inside it's sweet. But separation from Krishna is bitter. So remembrance of Krishna and separation is like bitter nectar. It's always nectar. In material world, sometimes there is pleasure also. But anything in separation from Krishna is like poison. So we could say there is remembrance of Krishna and there is forgetfulness of Krishna. There are two different levels. So now remembrance of Krishna is broadly like nectar, and forgetfulness of Krishna is like poison. Now, within that foundation of nectar, there are ups and downs. So what that means is there's a waves of devotion. So when there's union with Krishna, it's like sweet nectar. When there is separation from Krishna, it's like bitter nectar. Now, within the poison of material existence also, there are ups and downs. There is pleasure here also. But you could say that is like sweet poison. And the pleasure in this world is like sweet poison. And the distress in this world is like bitter poison. Now, why would we call it sweet poison? Because sometimes the pleasure in the world is what keeps us in the world.
No.
And in that sense, see, when the poison is bitter, we stop drinking it. Okay, when we get some distress, okay, enough now. I want to turn toward Krishna. But when there is pleasure, then what happens is, I want it more. So in that sense, it's like sweet poison. So sweet poison is probably the most dangerous poison. So the gopis are experiencing bitter nectar. That's why they Shobhayanti. They're agitated. Now this theme of Kuhaka, that oh cheater, that theme will come again in the future verse. We'll talk about that particular theme at that time. But let's should we stop here?
Can go one more verse, Prabhu.
One more verse.
Yeah.
Okay, let's sing this a couple of times and then we'll go to the next verse.
रहसितं प्रिया प्रेमवीक्षणम्
रहसितं प्रिया प्रेमवीक्षणम्
विहरणं च ते ध्यानमङ्गलम्
विहरणं च ते ज्ञानमङ्गलम्
रहसि संविदो या प्रतिस्पृशा
रहसि संविदो या हृदि स्पृशा
कुहकनो मना शोभयन्ति
कुहकनो मना शोभयन्ति
रहसितं प्रिया प्रेमवीक्षणम्
रहसितं प्रिया प्रेमवीक्षणम्
विहरणं च ते ध्यानमङ्गलम्
विहरणं च ते ज्ञानमङ्गलम्
रहसि संविदो या हृदि स्पृशा
रहसि संविदो या हृदि स्पृशा
कुहकनो मना शोभयन्ति
कुहकनो मना शोभयन्ति
Now, as the gopis are remembering Krishna's face and the time when they glance at face, so now their mind is going back to the morning time when they see Krishna. So, Chalasi and Raja, Chalasi, when you go to a Raja, Charayan Pashu, to graze the animals, to graze the cows. Nalina Nalina lotus, that your lotus, your feet are Nagate, oh master, your lotus feet, their feet are like lotus. And then they're thinking, Shila Pranam Kurai, see the feet. That when we think that these lotus feet are being pierced by the pebbles, the thorns, the rough ground of Vrindavan, then what is happening? See the teeth, that is piercing it. Thinking of that, Kalilatam Manaha. Our mind is becoming immensely agitated. We thinking that your feet are being pierced by those. It's like our heart is being pierced. Our heart is being ripped apart. And then their mind is coming to the present. They're thinking that at least in the daytime Krishna can see where there are thorns in them, but this is night time. And Krishna has gone away. And what are thorns will be piercing Krishna now? And I think their agitation is even more calm than Gachibowli. So Gachibowli means on one side you go into the forest and our mind goes in a state of agitation. And that's what we do last. So the idea is Krishna, our mind is so agitated because we are afraid that if you are legs might be injured, your feet might be injured. So Krishna, please come back. Please come back. So they're reminding us, please come back so that we can nurse your lotus feet. So that no longer any wounds and injuries on your lotus feet. Krishna, please come back.
चलसि यद्व्रजात् चारयन् पशून्
चलसि यद्व्रजात् चारयन् पशून्
नलिनसुन्दरं नाथ ते पदम्
नलिनसुन्दरं नाथ ते पदम्
चलसि यद्व्रजात् चारयन् पशून्
चलसि यद्व्रजात् चारयन् पशून्
नलिनसुन्दरं नाथ ते पदम्
नलिनसुन्दरं नाथ ते पदम्
शिलत्रिलाङ्कुरैः सीदतीतिना
शिलत्रिलाङ्कुरैः सीदतीतिना
शिलत्रिलाङ्कुरैः सीदतीतिना
शिलत्रिलाङ्कुरैः सीदतीतिना
कलिलतां मना कान्तगच्छति
कलिलतां मना कान्तगच्छति
कलिलतां मना कान्तगच्छति
कलिलतां मना कान्तगच्छति
जलसि यद्व्रजात् चारयन् पशून्
चलसि यद्व्रजात् चारयन् पशून्
नलिनसुन्दरं नाथ ते पदम्
नलिनसुन्दरं नाथ ते पदम्
शिलतृणाङ्कुरैः सीदतीतिना
शिलत्रिलाङ्कुरैः सीदतीतिना
कलिलतां मना कान्तगच्छति
कलिलतां मना कान्तगच्छति
Is that we don't want pain or distress or inconvenience for our beloved. Now, in the same Gopi Gita, the gopis has spoken earlier about the glories of Krishna's lotus feet. And they have also said that Fani Fanarpitam Te Padambuja. Now we know that Krishna is so powerful that Krishna has danced on the hoods of Kaliya. Now Kaliya's fangs are far more dangerous than any thorns or pebbles in Vrindavan. Thorns can just cause a scratch, the fangs can kill. And Krishna has not only survived that, Krishna has subdued Kaliya thoroughly. They know that Krishna is that powerful. But still, here, out of their love, they don't think of Krishna is that powerful. Krishna's lotus feet are so tender, so soft, that all will get hurt. And they should not get hurt. Sometimes what happens is when we are serving, it is always important for us to see things in a way that preserves or enhances our service attitude. I was with one devotee at one time, and he's a new devotee. He was serving his spiritual master. So his spiritual master and I, we were working together. I was editing a book for him, and this devotee was serving the spiritual master. So his spiritual master had some backache or something like that. So he said, "Please get some medicine." And then I asked him, I was asking if he got the medicine. He said, I told my devotee will get it. He says, it's urgent, Maharaj is in pain. He says, no, Maharaj is transcendental, he will not be feeling it. So then I said, for you, you should be thinking how best you can serve. At that time, when we have an opportunity to serve, I think, oh no, his advanced soul is transcendental to the body. So that doesn't mean we don't care for the body. We should be thinking that actually this body also be used for Krishna's service. So if I have an opportunity to serve, let me serve as carefully as possible. So sometimes we can take spiritual philosophy or spiritual knowledge in a way that actually damages our service attitude. If we are serving some devotee and that devotee has got some terrible sickness, I used to think that you are such a great devotee. If you got such terrible sickness, that means what terrible karma you must have done in the past. No, that is not the way we should be thinking. We should always be, because philosophy in one sense is malleable. Whichever point of whichever we can apply different points of philosophy at different times. But which point is to be applied when? That is important. And how do we decide which point is to be applied when? It is based on what enhances our service attitude. So if somebody is suffering, at that time it is not for us to think what is their karma. It is for us to think what is my karma. It is. If when somebody is suffering, we start thinking always in terms of their karma, we become very hard-hearted. And then where are we going to stop in that? If tomorrow a family member is sick, say it's your karma. Okay, if you have a newborn baby and the baby is crying, it's the baby's karma to cry. No, we become completely hard-hearted, isn't it? So our focus should always be on our karma. And we need to have a vision. We draw from philosophy the points that enhance our service attitude. So the gopis are demonstrating that service attitude over here. Now they can think, oh, Krishna has survived the fangs of Kali also. What is the problem? This thorns and this. But they're thinking, we are here to serve Krishna, we are here to please Krishna. And Krishna's feet, they are so tender, they'll be hurt by these thorns. So that concern for Krishna is a sign of their love. So Krishna is transcendental, no doubt. But the transcendental Lord makes himself accessible to us. And sorry, yes, no?
I just want to interrupt you.
Yes.
When you said that,
I'm transcendental and accessible also. No, I'm not really transcendental. Anyway, go ahead.
just to connect this to the point you are mentioning now. So the gopis think that Krishna is not God. So that's why they think like that. But Krishna is God. It is so powerful. So nothing can, harm in him. So in that situation, can we get that feeling?
Okay. See, even though gopis, we say the gopis, they, in one sense, they also know that Krishna is God. Like we discussed earlier, that Aishwarya is used in the service of Madhuri. Whenever they can use Krishna's divinity to increase the fervency of their call for Krishna, then they will use that. Like Krishna, you have descended to the world that Vartakalu Gopikananda Bhagavan. That you have descended in this world to relieve the world of distress. We are a part of this world, so why are you not relieving our distress? So like that. So they know Krishna's divinity. That's the correct point. Now for us, can we get that feeling? Well, the whole point of bhakti is at one level we create awareness that Krishna is God, Krishna is great. But at another level, say for example, Krishna comes as the deity. Krishna can do everything. But then the deity, if we bathe the deity, we clothe the deity. Can Krishna not bathe and clothe himself? Now, who are the people who can't bathe and clothe themselves? Either they are small babies or they are like old, senile people. So is deity like that? No. But it is Krishna who is giving us an opportunity to serve. So Krishna can do everything for himself. He can do everything for us also. But that infinite Lord becomes finite. That omnipotent Lord becomes seemingly impotent. He's never impotent. He's always omnipotent. But he seems to become important so that we have an opportunity to serve. And so I am here to serve. Giriraj Maharaj wrote a book about the Juhu temple, and he called it that promise. I will build you a temple. So Prabhupada considered it his promise to Krishna that I will build you a temple. I have invited you to come and stay here in this wilderness, in this tent. I will build you a temple. Prabhupada considered his personal responsibility. So yes, that's Krishna that we should feel that yes, Krishna is omnipotent, but Krishna wants me to serve him. Krishna wants me to do something for him. So in that sense, is Krishna? Can we think that Krishna is in distress? Well, yes and no. No, in the sense that Krishna is always happy with his gopis, with his pure devotees in the spiritual world. But at the same time, Krishna is also present in the hearts of all living beings. And when people are suffering in this world, Krishna is in distress. Krishna is not suffering like them, but Krishna is suffering because he likes them. They're two different things. Krishna is not in the material existence, he's suffering. But Krishna is suffering because, not if you can't use the word suffering for Krishna, but Krishna is also in distress because the souls who are his part, the souls that he loves, they are in distress. And he doesn't want them to be in distress. So in the 17th chapter, when somebody performs very severe austerities, tamasic austerities. So Krishna says about Karshayanta Sharirastham Mam Chaiva. Krishna says that they are tormenting their body and thereby they are tormenting me also. If somebody is performing pointless austerities, like say austerities like Hiranyakashipu or somebody performs, no ultimate benefit is there in that. If somebody is torturing their body, then Krishna says they are torturing me also because I have been tortured to see something. When we love someone and we see that person suffering, we also suffer with that, isn't it? So I said Krishna is both completely like impassive to our suffering in the sense that he's transcendental, but Krishna is also distressed by our distress. Krishna doesn't want to be in a distress. So we should think that say, when we are going out and distributing books or we are sharing Krishna's message, no, we are trying to relieve not just those people of distress, but we are also trying to decrease Krishna's distress. That Krishna is in distress because his children, his souls are lost. But now Krishna, because he is God, he is omnipotent. That means he can have multiple emotions at the same time. It's not that Krishna, because Krishna is in distress, so the gopis wanted to perform Rasa and Krishna is in distress. I am tired, I can't perform Rasa. No, Krishna can be with the gopis fully available to them, ecstatically reciprocating love with them. And Krishna can also be in our hearts. And seeing our distress, Krishna is also concerned. Okay. So this one, the point I was completing with this, that so the gopis, we need to see philosophy in a way that is favorable for our service. And the gopis are demonstrating that at the highest level. Although Krishna is completely unhurt by anything material, but the gopis are concerned for Krishna. And so concerned that they say, Krishna, please return so that we can nurse your lotus feet, so that by nursing your lotus feet, our wounded hearts, wounded to the thought that your feet are wounded, those hearts will also be nursed. So it is for whichever thing is for our sake you return, Krishna, for your sake you return. Somehow you return, Krishna. Please come back. Let's recite this once and then we'll stop.
Charayan Pashu
Charayan Pashu
Narina Sundaram
Narina Sundaram Nathate Padam
Shilatrinakurai Sidati Dina
Shilatrinakurai Sidati Dina
Kalilatamana Kantagachati
Kalilatamana Kantagachati चरसि यद्व्रजा चारयन् पशून्
नलिनसुन्दरं नाथ ते पदम्
नलिनसुन्दरं नाथ ते पदम्
शीलतृणाङ्कुरैः सीदति
शिरतृणाङ्कुरैः सीदतीतिना
कलिलतामना कान्तगच्छति
कलिलतामना